Hey guys, Generalkidd here. How's everyone doing today? So, for today's video, we are going to be going back to the Halo 3 Delta build again from March 2007, and I'm going to be showing you guys some early Brute prototype versions from this early build of Halo 3. So in the previous video, I did show you some early versions of Spartans, and in this video, well, in this build of Halo 3, there are also some interesting early versions of Brutes as well. So let's start by spawning using the cheat menu in this game. Just a regular default version of the Brute in this game. And there are other variants of the Brute, but we'll get to those later. So this is the standard default version of the Brute, and well, already looks quite different from the final version of the Brute. But one very interesting thing is that if you look on the arm of the Brute has hairy arms, just like the Halo 2 versions of the Brute. Whereas in the final version of Halo 3, the Brutes don't have hairy arms anymore. Their arms are, well, pretty much clean shaven. But it seems like in this early version of Halo 3, Brutes were closer to the Halo 2 versions than they were to the final Halo 3 version. Well, that's how it seems, at least. There are a few other differences here and there, like the detail of the armor, the colors and everything, that are a little bit different than the final version. Mainly, like, a lot of them aren't as detailed. Another interesting thing is that if you shoot the armor off one of these Brutes, the well, I guess the armor exploding effect, maybe like the damage effects, they weren't finished yet, so it looked really like that little blocky purple mist. And you can see here that when the Brute has no armor at all, well, it's very different from the final version of the Brute. There's no mohawk, for example, and the entire top of the head doesn't have like any details at all, really. But anyways, that's just the default version of the Brute. Let's quickly go through all the variants of the Brutes that are available, that exist in this early version of Halo 3. Okay, so we're going to start with the default version of Brute, just for reference. And this next one is the Brute Captain. It has the red armor, as you can see, and I guess the base part is pretty much the same. Next we have the Jump Pack Brute, which is just a Brute with a jetpack, and this is what the jetpack looked like back then. It looks pretty similar to the final version. A few details here and there are a little bit different. And then next we had the Brute Stalker. I think these were the active camo Brutes that you would see on a few missions. This looks pretty close to the final version, actually. I mean, the base part of the Brute still has the hairy arms as well, as with all variants in this early version of Halo 3. But yeah, it actually looks pretty similar to the final version. Next we have the Brute Chieftain, or technically the Armor Chieftain, and this is the one that usually carries the gravity hammers or a plasma cannon sometimes. But you can see the detail of the armor is well, it's not as detailed as the final version. It's a lot of the texture is a little kind of like flat, I guess, or a little matte, and aren't as shiny or polished as the final version. And then the next one here is the Weapon Chieftain. This one usually carries fuel rods in the final version of Halo 3. Again, not as shiny, not as polished. This next one here is the Brute Tracker. This is an odd one. I don't think there's any version of Brutes in Halo 3 that have like bright green armor. So I'm guessing this version is just not finished yet. It's still, at this point, it was still being worked on. Next up we have the Brute Major here. Again, same base, it's mostly just the armor differences, but it does look pretty close to the final version, just again, not as shiny. Same with the Captain Major here. It actually the armor covering its arms, the hair kind of like sticks through. So I don't know. I don't know like what point Bungie decided to remove the hair of Brutes, but it seems like it must have been like shortly after this. So that was just the Captain Major we saw, and this last one is the Brute Bodyguard. And those are all the variants of the Brute that exist in this game. A lot of them look pretty close to the final versions, minus a few small polished details here and there, and some of them look quite different actually, such as the that Brute Tracker, which I'm pretty sure didn't look like that. Also, another interesting thing is that the Brute Chieftains, their armors can't be knocked off yet in this version. If you knock it off, you do see all that like purple mist effect come off, but that's it. The rest of the armor does not come off at all, like it does in the final game. So that's another difference in this early version of Halo 3. But yeah, so that's basically a look at all the early brute prototype versions in the Halo 3 Delta build. So hopefully you guys found this video to be interesting, and as always, if you did enjoy it, then make sure to leave a like. Leave thoughts and comments, let me know which characters I'm going to check out next for early prototype versions in this game in the comments down below. And aside from that, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all next time. Bye guys!